Hey guys, my name is RyanCentral and welcome to HitScan. In this video we're going over the YORU rework, and this isn't just speculation on data mines, this is the devs coming out and saying what is changing for some of the abilities and having some gameplay for the changes as well. So there's quite a lot to go through, so let's get started.
But before we go any further, quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Displate. You've seen me in the past actually putting up these new Marvel ones behind me, but as a reminder, Displates are metal posters like this that you hang onto the wall with the help of magnets and also sticky sleeves. Very easy and straightforward to set up, but also incredibly good at taking down if you need as well. It doesn't damage the walls, which for people like me and maybe you that are currently renting places, I want to keep my deposit, so having stuff like this is really helpful. One other thing that I wanted to highlight that was new as well is obviously these are licensed ones. We've got Marvel, Star Wars, Witcher, Destroy All Humans, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, as well as other different brands and stuff that are licensed. But if you're more into the nuance and some of the art stuff, you can get that in the marketplace from artists all around the world. Some of my favorites I'm shown on screen, like a museum curator. And whilst I'm doing that, a nice reminder, for every one that you buy, Displate plants a tree in Tanzania or Western Cameroon as part of the Trees for the Future organization. At this point, they've almost planted 15.5 million trees. And one final thing to maybe entice you into taking a look, there is a sale on currently 1 to 2 Displates, you can get 23% off. Any more than 3, you can get 29% off. This is automatically added on checkout once you click the link in the description or top comment, so you don't need to worry about remembering any code. So whether you want some nerdy Marvel stuff like this or some of the art that I've maybe shown you, which I think all of these are fantastic, you can check them out in the description and top comment. Thanks for Displate for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to what we were talking about.
Like I mentioned, this is a State of the Agents article coming in from Raikou and John Kazicki. Raikou, of course, being one of the main leading people on agent design, was one of the people that led on KO, for example, and as you could probably imagine, has been working on YORU quite a lot at the moment. So I wanted to go over the intro and talk about specifically what's changing from their perspective, as I feel it's really interesting. People are excited with YORU, but as people experimented with him, many of you hit the conclusion that his outputs were not on par with the rest of the roster. We took the time to really look at what YORU should be offering and give him more different tools to bring to life an effective version of the fantasies that we've all latched onto. Before we actually go into the changes, I think this is really important to know. I imagine some of you have skipped to the timestamp of the abilities, for example, but I really do think that this is important to note because it tells us a lot about the future of YORU. The first bit is this paragraph. Feedback along with gameplay from top players has sparked a vision of what the devs are hoping to ignite. This sentence is great. YORU becomes a master of deception through an increased output of disinformation from round to round. First and foremost, this is the first time that the devs have ever changed the identity of an agent. Usually that's the thing that they lean on. It's the difference between Brimstone and Astro. What are they meant to provide? What is their playstyle? What is their identity? It's not a big change for YORU. He's still this master of deception, but the output of disinformation is the important part, especially when you start to look at what the abilities are now, how they've changed in particular. Another sentence I wanted to go over is that YORU's payoff dream plays seem to only happen after rounds of conditioning the enemy, which can leave him ineffective for longer than we'd like. Most of you will have a good idea on what it means by conditioning, but effectively just how long it takes for YORU to actually get into the minds of the enemy and exploit that, putting utility down B long on attack unbind, for example. It's like Fakeout footsteps, teleporters that don't get used, the enemy's aware of that, but then on round 7 or 8 you actually push that, you catch them off guard, you find success. The problem is that it takes 8 rounds to get going, and it's not very likely to be falled for again. That's my problem with YORU at the very least. So it's interesting that the devs have pointed out something along those lines as well. Some other key information, everything below is a work in progress and not final change notes, but most of you will be very keen to know when these changes are coming in. It says at the bottom of the article, we're confident in the changes, we're about to go over them, and these changes should drop early next year. We'll continue to monitor them to ensure that we can quickly make adjustments accordingly. The devs also said it will probably post one more of these articles before the rework drops early next year. In that article, expect to see art updates that go into supporting these changes. So don't expect them this year. I wouldn't even expect them at the start of next year either, probably like February, maybe early March to say the very least. But it's nice to hear an update, and especially the stuff that we get to see is really exciting. So let's talk about the first ability that's getting a pretty gnarly rework, that being Fakeout. The footstep decoy that drove a lot of deceptive plays that we love to see. To help with Yoru's mind games, we've decided to replace the footsteps with a new visual, a carbon copy of Yoru that runs forward and upon getting shot will wind up and explode, debuffing enemies. This is pretty fantastic. If I had to guess, it's probably just the same from what we've seen in the past when it comes to how Fakeout has worked with its trajectory. Also looking at stuff like Mirage as well from Apex Legends, that kind of aspect. I also really like that not only does it become a Fakeout ability that people need to respect, for example when I was saying before about Fakeout going up B long, you now need to just actually physically check it to make sure that it's a Fakeout or the actual Yoru himself. You also need to respect it because you need to destroy it. If it gets too close to an enemy, say for example you have a defender that's playing on that like corner where the teleporter is on B long, you need to clear the fake Yoru before it debuffs your teammate. It's almost like Fakeout has become a little bit of a boom bot almost with clearing out angles and stuff like that. So yeah, you can't just go, oh there's Yoru footsteps here, I'm not going to check it. You now need to check it just to make sure that it's the real Yoru or not, and also to clear the ability from debuffing your enemies. Whether it debuffs enemies when it runs into you remains to be seen again, but this sounds like a really nice thing. It's not too insane with how it's changing. It's not like Fakeout is being replaced for a new different ability entirely, but I think that this is the right way to take that direction and making Fakeout a more respected ability, especially with that aspect of disinformation, because if you see multiple Yorus running around the map, that's going to be pretty difficult, especially in ranked where you have to try and combat and you aren't necessarily sure if it's a Fakeout or the real Yoru. But that's not the only ability that's got a little bit of a change, and I adore this one with Gatecrash. They've lowered the range at which enemies can see and hear the tether on the map while it travels. You need to be a lot closer to it. They've also increased the travel side by 20%. As you're seeing, it's pretty zippy across the map now at this point. But that is not all. In addition to these quality of life improvements, Yoru can now activate a tether from a distance to trigger a fake teleport, playing the same audio and visuals as if he were teleporting. I've been showing the gameplay in the background. I'm just going to let it play so you can hear it yourself. This is fantastic. This is the whole idea of disinformation. It's the same as Fakeout, right? Where you can quickly see and tell whether that ability is being used. It definitely should be the case that Gatecrash should be heard. It should be loud. The idea of Yoru being able to teleport into your backline. But now it almost feels like when From the Shadows Omen's ultimate is used, where whether it was faked or not, and you're not in that position to be able to tell or hear if the Omen has cancelled his ultimate, you still have to double check. You have to check in your spawn, you have to check where the teleporter usually goes, and that is enough to pull you away from some of those angles that you should really be watching. This is fantastic. This is exactly the direction that I think that the agent should be going, and it's not like it's an insane 200 IQ fix. It's just really clever and subtle from what the devs are doing. Just the idea that you can fake a teleport, that's exactly what Yoru really wants to be leaning into. So the fact that they've changed the identity and really nailed that down with Fakeout and Gatecrash, Fakeout especially just being a pretty awful ability, now having some impact alongside with this, Yoru is going to be very terrifying, and I genuinely think he's going to be amazing in top tier and pro play. At least I hope so, just for the mind games alone. But what about everything else? Well, I'm assuming that the flash is going to be pretty much left alone. It's really unique, I really like it personally, that's not the ability to change. But the devs said, we're not ready to share all of the changes we're testing internally on Yoru right now. Maybe they dial it back, I don't know, with the flash. But we're confident our rework will help unlock Yoru's potential. This may include testing a few changes to Dimensional Drift, the ultimate, to help Yoru break sights wide open, especially if they can like nail all the stuff with the ultimate being used, throwing some Fakeouts in the teleport. That is going to be terrifying on an execute, to say the very least. But that's near enough everything to go over in this video. I appreciate you guys sitting through, but that's pretty much everything to go over in this video. This is really exciting. It caught me by surprise. I'm currently in Berlin for doing stuff with champions, got to do a bit of casting and desking. I'll talk about that when I get back effectively, because this is a crazy day in of itself. but I am very excited, and I'm also very appreciative of the fact that the devs have given us an update on this agent, considering that they've pulled back and been fairly radio silent on YORU since they said that the changes were going to be TBD. Now we have a rough estimate of when it's coming and what exactly to expect for. Very exciting. Thanks for watching, thanks for Displate for sponsoring this video, and until next time, take care, we'll see you then.